Hey everyone, this is Briggs Givens. Welcome to the Briggs & Co podcast, the show where I sit down with people who inspire me by living life just a little differently, sometimes a lot differently. I'm your host, and each week I invite artists, athletes, entrepreneurs, scientists, and all the wonderfully unconventional minds in between to share their stories. This is a space where we go beyond the surface, uncovering the life journeys, the methods to the madness, and the daily habits that fuel extraordinary people to do extraordinary things. Whether you're looking for inspiration, new perspectives, or just a peek into the lifestyle of those who dare to be different, you're in the right place. So get ready to meet the dreamers, the doers, and the outliers, because on Briggs & Co., we celebrate the life of living above average. Let's dive in. I am thrilled to welcome Michelle Bibeau, a physiotherapist whose unique approach blends clinical expertise with her deep roots in dance and Pilates. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Bibeau. I'm from Ontario, so I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, and that's where I started my dance journey when I was 3. My older sister danced, so I think that's just kind of what got me into it. And my dad's a musician, so I think a very musical family.
Totally.
And then I did the whole ballet, tap, jazz scene, competitive dancing at my
This is out east?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, wait, pause. Is there anything that you would like that you reflect on now and go, whoa, out east is way different than out west in terms of the competition?
Okay, yes. So, 2 things. So, being in Alberta for the last decade, I realize I'm very lucky to have been a convention kid. And 2, I'm very lucky that I'm from Windsor, which is across from Detroit, and we got to compete mostly in the States.
Totally, you are lucky. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm so happy you know that.
Yeah. And I think I've recently realized that. So Edmonds Tower School of Dance is my studio that I grew up in. So shout out to Donna and Diane. And yeah, we did like mostly Michigan, sometimes Ohio, primarily conventions. So like when I was like 9, I got to take class from Brian Friedman. So it was like, so cool. Yeah.
Would you say that Ontario gave you a this grit and I don't know, this work ethic that is built up in students because of the travel to the States and you need to have that self-confidence and that determination, or is that not even anything that you realize?
No, I think it's part of it because you get exposed to like being in a room with 300 people when you're like a junior and you're like trying to fight to be in the front, to be
Yeah.
seen. So I think that's part of it. Yeah, I think like the States, some of the studios are a little bit like just different in the way they train. So yeah, it was definitely, I think it definitely helped. And then and the conventions always have like the scholarship days. So you get to like each time you go, you're practicing an audition, which I found was really helpful because that's really scary.
So you're training that young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Were they mock auditions?
Like scholarships. So like, when at the conventions, on the last day they'd give away like a weekend scholarship. So you can use this to come back for free next year, or you'd win Magic Performer of the Year at LA Dance Magic, or like you'd win to come to finals, like things like that. Yeah, it was a very similar process, like ballet tech across the floor. They make a cut and then you do a jazz combo and then like jump, like jump's still around these days. I went to the first jump city tour.
Did you really?
Yeah, isn't that funny? In Detroit.
Work.
Like that's
Oh my
so
God.
long ago.
What a legend.
And so, the whole pull up on stage, you're in a line and one at a time you go improv. Terrifying.
Oh my God, this is flashing me back to CDR. Oh no, stop the memory lane. No, I'm serious. Like I'm like, oh my God. And I'm also thinking of how butch I was. Like, ooh, this is so funny for me to think about. Like I used to have shaved one side and
Yes.
oh, work it. I was like, how can I stand out in competition more? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Relentless.
I
There's
had the
no line.
I had red highlights and short hair.
See?
Yeah.
Come on, Unique. Like what? Oh my God.
Secretly
I'm
though,
dying.
like
Okay,
so
so
fun, right?
yeah, no, it really is. It really is. Then let's hop to when you started to see yourself go, my focus is like dance as a career now. What are my next steps? Like, when was that, like grade 9? Was that your graduation year and you're like, oh crap, like I gotta figure out what I want to do next year? Or were you like very set in your way of being a dancer?
I always wanted to be a dancer. I think when you're little, it's like, I wanna be a
Yeah,
ballerina. So, like, for most of my life, I was like, "I wanna be a
really.
ballerina. I wanna be a
Yeah, and it's
ballerina."
gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't even question it. It's like, no, what are you gonna be when you're older? Oh, ballerina.
Ballerina. Confidence then.
It's
Wish I had
done.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
So always thought that, and then I went to the Royal Winnipeg Ballet summer program. I wanna say I was
Mm.
11 or 12. I honestly can't remember, and I unfortunately did not make it into the year. But what I learned looking back actually now, I the level I got put in had no jazz and, like, just ballet, and I that whole month I was like, "I wanna do jazz and, like, other styles." So yeah, kinda changed my mindset a little bit too, not
Which
because
is kind of good, like you were saying, like thinking back, like maybe that was exactly what you needed.
yeah.
Mm.
And then I think just in high school, I just always heard about cruise ships, and then come grade 12, I was like, "I'm not applying for university, I'm gonna go work on a cruise ship," and I had graduated with no job lined up, so go confidence in grade 12. And
Really?
then, Melissa Williams ran a convention called Extreme Dance, and she had her finals in Burbank, California in my grade 12 year, and she brought out a casting director for us. So we got to do an audition there.
Cool.
And so I fortunately lined up my first cruise ship contract when just after graduating grade 12.
So first audition, booked.
Yes.
I'm freaking like, now I hear this. It's like such a 50-50, maybe 75-25 split. And I think some people, if they get lucky the first time, not even lucky is not the right word, but if the stars align, and obviously they have the talent and the work ethic to back it up, you can book these jobs. And sometimes it doesn't take a while for you to book these jobs. It does, however, sometimes happen where you have to audition 12 times. And it always blows me away because sometimes I'll see dancers that I'm like, how did they not book that the first time? Like, I will see that. And now being in the position of work that I do now, I am like, it is wild. Sometimes the casting director can, for some odd reason, you catch their eye the minute you walk in and they just like, something in them goes like, yeah, I like them. I like them. It could have been the eye contact you made or whatever it is. And however, in the same breath, there could be a chance where they've missed you
Hmm.
as you walk in
Yep.
and their eyes just are set on something else and maybe distracted and stars didn't align very well and it might take you 8 times to get to that booking. I just wanted to like pause and comment on that because it can happen. You can get like, I think there's so often times where it's like you won't book your first job, you won't book your second job, it'll take time, but it's like, but it also can happen where you do book your first job. That is so freaking wild.
I'm
Sorry.
very thankful for that. And I will say, I had a great opportunity because of Melissa Williams, because she brought the casting director, and it was a very small group that we got to audition with. So I think that helped. But yeah, I was very thankful for that because,
Yeah.
like you said, it doesn't always happen. Yeah, and that led to my cruise ship career.
And so, I mean, I guess it's important to also realize like, I don't really believe in luck. I don't actually believe in luck. I believe in you work hard and you say yes, you say no. There's opportunity cost to yeses and nos, and you get put in rooms and places because you said yes to no to these choices in your life. And I feel like if you didn't have that talent, there was no way that you would book that first job. Like just end of story. Do you know what I mean? It's not luck. That's not luck.
Mhm.
But it's 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 extra nice the fact that there wasn't 500 people. It wasn't a cattle call audition. You know what
Yes.
I mean? But you
Yes.
still had the talent because you worked hard for it. But yeah. Anyways, so then from there you got. Did they like go? We're gonna put you on our books for 9 months, kind of thing, or was it like, hey, we need you now?
She said, so we were in Burbank, it would have been the summer, and she said, "We'll reach out to you in a few weeks." And then I got a phone call and they offered me my first contract. But I didn't go until I think it was later. It would have been like November. So I had to like keep myself busy for a few months. But yeah,
Hey, but what did you get up to when you were keeping yourself busy? Did you work like at a cafe? Did you work at the studio? What did you do?
I worked at McDonald's.
What?
So I worked at McDonald's in high school because, you know, my parents get a job, help out, right? You know,
I'm
part
obsessed.
time. And then so I was like, well, I think it was like 4 months for sure. Cause, you know, my friends were starting university at the
Right.
time. So I was like, well, I'm just going to work full time at McDonald's.
I freaking love that.
And I taught dance, I think, at my studio because I
Yeah.
always did that. Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, quick sidebar on the teaching dance. What are your thoughts on like teaching dance? This is a tricky topic for me to digest in my head. I think that it is a wonderful opportunity when you are grade 11, grade 12, just graduated, whatever, to teach at your studio that you grew up teaching at. What are your thoughts on, because it's really interesting, you have this like training under your belt, but you have no industry experience.
Hmm.
And I feel like the industry experience is important, but it's not everything because you can be a really freaking good teacher and have no like quote unquote industry experience.
Hmm.
Do you, because I have seen it where I'm like, you need a couple years before you teach. You just need a couple years before you teach. However, the opportunity was there and it's like 1 + 1 = 2. I just graduated. I'm going to teach a set of classes, maybe smaller dancers, whatever. Do you have any like opinions or thoughts on that?
I think it depends. The way my studio did it, you had to be like an assistant teacher first.
Yeah.
So that I think was very helpful because I want to say I started when I was like 15 to be, yeah, 15-ish. I was an assistant teacher for people who had been teaching at our studio for a long time. So I got to learn from them, you know, and I
Yeah.
assisted a few different people in different styles. So that was helpful. But I do agree. Like, I think having that experience to pull from to help your dancers grow past the studio life would be beneficial as well,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
like you said, it
Okay.
depends.
Sorry for all my sidebars.
No, I
I
love
want you
it.
to get back. Was it Royal Caribbean? I didn't even ask.
No, I actually worked for well, the company that hired me doesn't exist anymore, Stiletto Entertainment for Holland America Cruise Lines. Yeah.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have extra other duties apart from being a dancer? Was Holland pretty like, no, you're a production cast dancer and that's what you'll do and you don't have anything extra?
You just had the basic security duties. We were what was it? For the boat drill, you had to stand at a
Yeah,
station and or
totally.
director passenger, like direct them to their,
Come on,
yeah,
director.
and we had to wear the life jacket with this big vest on.
Totally.
It was so fun. Um,
Oh,
and then, like, honestly, that was kind of it. And then every port, I think there was a certain amount of us that had to stay on for in case there was a drill. So that was
right.
kind of it.
Yeah.
So we were kind
Yeah.
of
You had
lucky.
your muster station kind of thing. And
Yes.
where was your rehearsals for Holland at that time?
In Inglewood, California. Yeah. So we got to so Stellar Entertainment was Barry Manilow's casting company and stuff. So we kind of like, I didn't get to that year. I
Utilize.
was a little bit upset, but they'd usually ship you to Vegas to go see his show, like the cast as part of your like rehearsal. But I didn't get to do
Mm.
it that year. I can't remember why. But we were in this little studio, and across the street was like Barry Manilow's kind of, yeah, little studio. But I never met
Does
him.
that feel like a separate life?
Right now, yes. And it was
Yeah.
so long ago too. But yeah, it feels kind of crazy when I talk about it sometimes.
Yeah. And so then your brain remembers like certain things and you're like, whoa, what? That happened to me? So did you do two contracts, one contract? What was your journey with Holland?
So right out of high school, I think I did 5 total, with
Wow.
2 or 3 being a replacement contract. So I did it for 2 years. I guess sidebar, after my
Yeah.
first contract, Stiletto Entertainment went on a casting freeze when I came home. So I'm like 19, going back home,
Goal.
thinking like, I'm doing this again. I'm going to go back on cruise ships. Like that's what I want. It was so fun. And 1 month goes by and my dad's like, "What are you doing?" Another month goes by, I'm like, "There's a casting freeze." So I auditioned for Royal, in
Oh,
Toronto that summer, and then I very fortunately got a contract, and then the next day Stiletto Entertainment offered me another contract.
Why does
I'm
this
like,
happen? Why does this happen? Like, I
yeah,
swear to God, this is how it always happens.
yeah,
There's nothing. It's crickets. I'm talking crickets.
yeah.
And
And
then
then,
all of a sudden it's like, we have this and this and this and this, and you have to drop the job that you just got lined up that was apart from dance, not anything to do with dance. You also enrolled in school, now you have to drop that. Like, it's like
yeah.
such a whirlwind,
And I was
and it
like,
always happens like that.
I was about to apply for school because I was like, well, like, what do I do? So I
Yeah,
had a, 19-year-old, oh no, which do I do? I chose to stick with the same company I worked for. So
yeah,
unfortunately, I did say no to the other one, knowing that that could burn that bridge. But
yeah,
I was
yeah.
19.
I bet that's life.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, opportunity cost. Like I said, there's no really wrong decisions, I guess. You just have to make sure you're aligned with them. And
exactly.
once you make the decision, once you say yes, be fully committed.
Hmm.
Cause yeah, there's so many. I don't remember what dancer it was, but I was speaking to her the other day about, our choices as performers or just like contractors or entrepreneurs, whatever it is. You are always like foregoing an opportunity by doing something. That's life in general. So like if you are working, say, on a production in Edmonton Opera, whatever, there is shows happening elsewhere in LA, in New York, in Asia, like for God's sake, like there's always things happening and you're choosing not to do those things. So you just have to be content with what you do and genuinely be like well aligned with the work. And it takes a little while, I think, for you to get the confidence to even know what aligns with you.
Yes.
But I would say, and maybe you can touch on this before we start to dig into the other contracts and the work after that, those contracts. But um, for people like maybe that would be 19 right now or kind of in the middle of a decision moment, um, do you have any sort of advice or thoughts on how you can make that choice and how you can sort of live with it, how you weigh the pros and cons or whatever, what have you. Do you have anything to mention on that?
I would say like whatever and it's so cheesy, but whatever makes you
Yeah.
happiest and allows you to sleep at night, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever makes you feel good. At the time, I think I actually wrote out a pros and cons list and I talked to a bunch of like my family and my friends like, "Hey, what do you like you're not a dancer, but what do you think?"
Mm.
Right? To get
Yeah.
different opinions. Um But knowing, like you said, there's always multiple opportunities going on, so you're never gonna make the wrong decision, you just need to make what's right for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. So
Mhm.
then you chose to do Holland. You did 5 contracts with them in full.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Um, do you have any sort of like, was there any crazy stories that came from that, or was that a pretty smooth sailing, like 5 years back to back of like booking after booking after booking?
So I actually only did it for 2 years, and then I
Okay,
and then
sorry.
I went back to or I went back. I started my university degree in human kinetics at the University of Windsor. I always knew I'd go back to school because I was always interested in that stuff. And then I'll never forget this. I'm a week before my finals. I'm studying in my room at home, and I get a phone call from the casting director, and she's like, "Hey, a dancer injured herself. You know the shows. Can you come out like now? Like tomorrow? We'll book your flight." And I was like, "Oh." Actually, I have summer coming up. Like, I have to write my exams next week. Can I like come after? And she's like, "Well, can you come now?" And I was like, "No, I can't just reschedule my like university exams." So she
Mm.
very fortunately waited and then they sent me out. So my final 3, no, my
Wow.
2 of my 5 were replacement contracts on the Osterdam, the ship that I had already so I just had to
Yeah.
learn a new track number. So I got to go
Yeah.
out for I think it was 4 months, so my summer break and then go back to school. So that was really nice. That like
Holy
worked out
crap.
like so
Yeah.
well. And
Like
then
perfect.
yeah, sorry.
Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I did 2 years of my undergrad and I was like, "Huh, I miss dancing." So I took a year off and did another contract, and I remember talking to our, counselor for human kinetics, and I was like, "Will it affect my transcript or if I wanna apply to, like, physio, cart, whatever that is?" And they were kinda like, "It might." So I was, like, battling that also, like, do I
Yeah.
take a year off and that shows on my transcript? I chose to go. I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'll sort it out. So I went and did my final contract and then went back to university and finished my third and fourth year.
It's interesting that moment. I think that is such a valuable moment to just reflect on quickly because it's like you have a guarantee that you will, if you forego the cruise ship contract, that is obviously it was pulling you, like you wanted to, it made you happy. If you decided not to do that, that's a hard no. Like that is for sure not happening then. Like that contract's not happening. Whereas you have the option to pause. Maybe or maybe not, it will poorly reflect in some way, shape, or form in your potential future as X, Y, and Z in kinesiology, whatever that may be. And so it's like, to me, being a third party, I think weighing the facts, right? It's like you have a choice to do something that clearly makes you smile, grin, cheek to cheek, or you have a choice that may or may not affect your future in whatever you so choose to do. And I feel like if you have the capacity to have trust in yourself, then you'll find a way to make up for the sort of potential risk on your applications or whatever and do the contract. At least I think from a third party, like nails that decision.
Thank you.
It's not it's not easy. Do you know what
No.
I mean? Like that is hard. And it's hard also because there's probably not many people that you were going to school with, or even that you were dancing with on cruise ships that you could be like, hey, you were in this specific position. What did you do? It is a very much an individual journey that you have to have trust in yourself to make.
Yeah,
Mm.
you have to go
And
with your gut.
so you do.
I
Like,
call
what
it
the
the
heck does that
tummy
even
test.
mean? You hope you have a good gut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, make that gut healthy. So then talk me through, you went on your last contract.
Mhm.
Okay. Was it the contract that you already knew your track?
No, this was a different ship. I had seen the shows and I always wanted with Holland America, there's different size boats. And essentially I wanted to be on their biggest is very small compared to like Royal, but I wanted to be on this specific contract
Class
because
or whatever, yeah.
I think I knew a few people because I had done so many. So you end up working with similar people over the years. But yeah, I knew that would probably be my last.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Something in you.
Yeah.
So then you came back home and you finished your undergrad?
Yes, I finished my third and fourth year. And then in my fourth year, I think is when I kind of went, yeah, I think I want to be a physio. Because during my cruise ship contracts, if you got injured, you just got sent home. Right? Yeah, there's like medical doctors on board, but like there's no physio, there's no and I always thought to myself, like, oh, it'd be cool to help dancers create longevity in their career. So my fourth year was when I was like, yes, I'm doing this.
And did you see somebody else that was doing it that you were like, oh, stellar, I'm going to do that same thing? Or were you like, nobody's doing this. I am going to be the one that's doing this?
Think I actually knew like a dance physio then, now that you asked that question. I don't think that's
And
what
yeah,
sparked it. I think just being in kin, knowing that was an option and knowing that I could help people move and help their career was probably the main
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Man, I'm so jealous of the degree that you got and your knowledge and your like interest in it. I wish I had that interest years ago when I was starting my schooling. I I couldn't agree more with you how complimentary that is as a performer, as an artist slash athlete, um, and it is very unique because there's ways that we move our body, that we use our body, that is separate from how a lot of sports are used anatomically. This is the alignment is so different.
Yeah.
Um, did you just nerd out kind of after you graduated and was like, I'm gonna specialize in dance, physio? Were you like, you know what, that's something that I might explore in the future, but I'm gonna go apply to physio like clinics and just kind of start somewhere, and then once I get my footing, I'll be able to kind of explore and specialize more.
I think how it naturally happened was I just wanted to get a job, get
Yeah,
some experience and then specialize without even intentionally doing it that
yeah.
way. So I guess yeah, that's just how it worked out. And I, looking back, I am thankful, like, because I feel like I gained experience to then help the dancers. Um, I'm a very different, I treat very differently than I did 5 years ago in my practice right now. And I felt like when it happened, like when I really took the step to help dancers and make that my specialty, I felt more ready. Yeah, more confidence, because
Yeah.
imposter syndrome is big in
Well, that's a thing.
physio. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you nerd out on me for a second? Because I want to spend a chunk of time talking about why it's important as dancers to think about physio, to think about strengthening, supporting muscle groups, and all of that stuff. Like, why are dancers unique in the way that we need to think about that stuff?
So many reasons. So let's dive into this. But the main ones I would say is just how hard dance is on the body, not only from like an endurance and strength standpoint, but from like a range of motion standpoint. Like, not many sports have you kick your leg above your head. So keeping your joints happy and healthy. And then to kind of go alongside with that, dance is very asymmetrical, even though we try not to be. We try to
True.
train right and left. My studio was very good. We did everything both sides across the floor. I'm still a right dancer. My one side is significantly stronger than my other. So just balancing out the asymmetries that are going to come with the sport. And then it's from an injury prevention standpoint, we almost want to think about it from, I think they've changed it in the literature recently in dance medicine from, instead of injury prevention, injury risk reduction, because unfortunately there are high rates of injury in dancers
Mm.
in the research. So,
What would be some of those risks? Like, what would be the heavy hitters?
like injury wise,
Yeah.
ankle sprains, stress fractures, low back pain. Those are the main ones. Hip pain, those are the main ones that I see in
What
dancers.
causes the low back pain?
Like overuse, not having the strength to back up the range of motion, acro. Um,
Are you seeing it more now because acro is heavier as of late?
think so a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. So then I guess for preventative, you said, what is it? Preventative risk?
Injury risk
No,
reduction.
injury risk reduction.
Yeah.
What would be some, I guess, of the literature, like what are they saying in terms of exercises or things that you could preemptively do, incorporate in your studio, incorporate in your classes that I guess you wish more people knew about?
I think the main thing is like cross training, which, from being in the dance world for so long, studios are 100% trying to implement that more these days. I see
Yeah.
lots of my patients, they have strength and conditioning classes at the studio. Um, so, but honestly, just being a kid and playing other sports is helpful too, right? And I was thinking about this actually not too long ago, because I'm very, very, very lucky that, yes, I've sprained my ankles like 50 times, but all in all, I haven't had too many serious dance injuries that have pulled me from the sport. And I look back like, oh, why is that? And I think partly when I was in all the way up to high school, I was in cross country, track and field, swimming. Like, I just naturally did a lot of sports, which I think helped me without intentionally trying to do cross training.
Um, I guess because I was just scanning through what you said, cross country and track and field and all that. That's endurance, so that's helping your cardiovascular. Did you train legs? Like, did you train actual like heavy muscle groups, or were you just mostly kind of doing the workouts or doing the exercises that was sort of planned in your schedule at that age? Were you also training muscle groups as well, separate from the the work? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, in like, if I look from high school and younger, I was just playing sports as is, and I think part of track there was some, lower, like all those isolated strengthening, but it wasn't until I was in my early 20s, I think would say more cruise ship days, that I actually got into like fitness and strength training and realized, like, from, well, now realize like you need to stay strong and healthy.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And I think that 'cause I want to dive into Pilates and when you found that and why and how complementary it can be. Because I teach bar and I teach Pilates as well,
Mhm.
floor, mat Pilates, I guess, not floor. Um, but I am now it's tricky because you are start as a dancer and it's a ballerina or what have you, and that's your profession. And then now you need to somehow make it digestible for the public that has never had dance in their life before, but they are now realizing because I only started this program at one of the yoga studios that we introduced it into a couple weeks ago. And even now, like in 3-4 weeks, the practitioners that come cannot express how much they're feeling the tiny little like ligaments and tendons and surrounding muscle groups that support the major muscle groups and their balance and all of this stuff. I mean, when we're young, we don't think about that. But as we age, those are the things that go. And it's so, so complementary just as anyone that's living, sleeping, breathing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I think that what you are studying and focusing on is so crucial. So let's dive into the Pilates, the clinical Pilates to be specific, and what that
Mhm.
looks like.
Yeah, so I from a long time ago, I always knew eventually I think I'd wanna combine physio and Pilates. I just hadn't had much experience in the Pilates side of things, so I kinda just that was always an idea in my head. And
Yeah.
then these 2 lovely practitioners in Calgary, from In-Depth Physio, so shout out to Danny and Leah. They are both physios. They grew up in the dance world, and they created this, Danny created the course, and Leah helps her out now, and they both run it.
Mm.
They're both classically trained in Pilates, so they kind of made a course more specific to how we would use it in the clinic in a different way. So we have, the mat, the reformer, the tower, the chair. We have all the equipment, but we use the Pilates exercises to assess and treat. So we have a better idea of movement compensations, muscle imbalances, um, range of motion dysfunction. And it's just a different perspective and a different way to assess someone, which is very cool in the physio.
So then, can you talk me through the difference if you were to walk into a physio clinic that doesn't have this Pilates style? What would be the assessment and versus your assessment process?
Of course, I always do my physio screening assessment if they would come in with an injury, for example. But if someone was just coming in, hey, I have had old injuries and I just want to, preventatively stay strong and figure out where I need to be stronger, what I need to work on. I, do my subjective history, figure out where they have pain, if they do, all that fun stuff. And then we hop right on the equipment and I take them through what we have as an assessment, which is basically
Mm.
specific exercises that gives us different I guess movement patterns, so flexion, extension, rotate, and we can see how they tolerate that patterning. And then from there we pull, okay, you need to work on this, you need to work on this. And
Do
then
they realize it? Like, I'm curious to know when they're in that machine, because a reformer machine, and maybe just so listeners, because they might not all know what that
mhm,
even the heck is. If you want to just explain quickly what the machine is and some of the like actual specific sort of ranges of motion that you get them to explore,
mhm.
that would be great.
So the Pilates equipment, there's the most of them have springs, and the springs act as we say extra muscles. So they assist some range of motion, but they also resist. So that's where it's nice because we can pick certain exercises based on where they're functionally at and what level they're at. And that could also change my assessment. If an advanced dancer comes and sees me, that might look very different than someone who's not a dancer or does a different sport
Yeah.
or doesn't play a sport right now. But we basically use the springs. There's bars, there's a carriage on the reformer that kind of pushes open and close. You're in different positions. You're sitting, you're standing, you're laying on your side, you're laying on your stomach. So we can get a sense of like how they're moving. It could be very intimidating at first because
Yeah.
it's noisy. But I think it's so fun that people just you start it and once you've done a few they're like, okay, I can do this. It looks scary but everyone can do it. Yeah.
This approach, I think it is so dang valuable, and it's I mean it's clear to me the benefits of it, both from somebody that would be getting it done to, like somebody that's actually coming in and experiencing the reformer machine, and I feel like it'd be light bulb moments yourself to be like, oh my god, my left is so much weaker than my right,
Mhm.
or oh, my range of motion in my shoulder joint is so bad. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where you probably just like stand off to the side and go, Like, you know what I mean? Like, you saw that, you felt that.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes we can just, I mean, and this is kind of a sidebar, but just in like medicine and physiotherapy, and we can sometimes lie a little complacent and hope that the doctor or, you know, the clinician, whatever it may be, will find the problem for us. You know, but they are not, I mean, magic. Like
Mhm.
they still need you to do some work as well
Yeah.
and talk to you and explain things. And I feel like the more you can be in tune with what your body feels like, should feel like when it's a good day and about, you know what I mean?
Yep.
All of those things, it can only just like help and work as a team than just like, hey, this is what's happening to me. Can you fix me? You know what I mean? Which is, I imagine that you've seen both.
Yes. And I love, like you said, the team-based approach because as a physio, yeah, I can assess you and give you advice and tell you what would be the best treatment plan, but you have to put in the work too, right? So, yeah. And like you said,
Totally.
the awareness piece with Pilates is really cool because
Yeah.
some like dancers, very body aware typically.
Yeah.
Someone who is not a dancer might not have that same awareness with their movement, but after a few sessions, they'll be like, "Oh, I did that." It's like, yes.
Totally. Oh, that's so cool. So then, what would you say is your, I guess, typical? Because you work at a physio clinic here in Edmonton now,
Yes.
and I wanted to take a pause, a moment, just to backtrack. Whoa, a couple years to figure out how you went from Windsor. It sounds like maybe you stopped in Calgary to learn some things, but maybe not.
I've always so I moved to Edmonton for physio
Okay,
school.
for
So,
physio school.
yeah,
Okay.
so I graduated, at the University of Windsor in my human kinetics degree, and then I got into physio here, and my husband and I, who was my boyfriend at the time, we moved here. I've been here for a decade
Mm.
now, and then the Pilates training is done in Calgary, so I've been kinda
Okay.
yeah, in the last few years up and down.
Mm, do you offer like out of your clinic, I guess, services to studios or services to somebody, or does everyone have to come to you? Do you have any like technical videos that people can watch? Like, how can people figure out what the heck you're talking about, how they can benefit from it, and all that stuff? Like, I'd love to know how we can share the good stuff that you're doing with the world, because I can't agree more with you how important this type of physio and reparative thought work
Yeah,
could be.
love that. Love spreading the word on Pilates. I have an Instagram that you can
Okay.
follow that has I always post about Pilates, but not yes, you can come to me one-on-one at the clinic, but I also offer studios. I do like injury prevention workshops. I've done mat Pilates classes just for some studios, so I have those a turnout workshop. I have different things that I can offer as a service and go to a studio, which I have
Okay,
done.
cool.
Yeah.
That's really good to know. And I think it's also, this will also give inspiration to other people that are like in London, in the States, in Vancouver, like all of these places, because this can be something that more people should bring, I think, to studios and really incorporate. I mean, obviously, there's differences because you have to get credentials and you have to go and make sure that you're learning it, and you're also a physiotherapist, so those are very separate things. However, I just think it's so cool and important to bring this education to dance because it's preventative care and not just post injury repair. Can you tell me a little bit about kind of 10 years ago you came here? How did you start to sort of like, you uprooted and rerouted? Did you do any dance work in Edmonton? How did you connect with studios? How did you get back into that world in a different province?
Yeah, it actually takes a while, I will
Yeah,
say, like, looking back, I was like, "Wow." So, when I first
huge.
moved here, um, when I like, my first couple months here, I a few people in my program, some really good friends of mine, they're both dancers and physios, so we, like, Googled, like, dance class. I literally was like, "Dance class in Edmonton," and I found my friend Leah, who was doing drop-ins, and I, like, went and did a drop-in, kinda did that throughout my degree. Obviously, you're a little busy when you're in school, and then I I did the a season on the Elks cheer team as well, so that
Yeah.
was fun.
Can we actually talk about that?
Yeah.
Can you mention like what that looks like? Because obviously each province, not each province, but each sort of major city that I know of has a CFL team, correct? Like I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's anyone
Mhm.
that doesn't. Yeah, no. And so It's similar, but there's also very different ways that each team approaches things. So with the Alps, you obviously went to an audition.
Yes.
When do they audition? Because I think this is also something that if you're based in Edmonton, but also if you're based in other cities that have CFL teams,
Mhm.
the Canadian Football League, then it'll be somewhat similar. So you went to your audition. What season was that? Like what time of year? And then what does the season look like when you're actually on the team?
So I actually right now will still help with the auditions, and they're typically in February, so they would have just happened. Um, you it's a 3-week process right now, so you go there's like an orientation you can attend with questions, but then it's a on a Monday night for 3 weeks. So you go the first Monday, you learn 2 dances, and this is the dancer side, not the cheer stunter side, because there's 2 separate. I am not in the air. Let's not.
Let's be
Yeah.
clear.
I when I was on the team, 2 of the guys would like for a photo, it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my
Yeah,
life. So
yeah.
I give those
And put me
stunters.
down now.
Yeah. Stunters are amazing. We have a
Yeah.
great cheer team. The dancer side of things. So you learn 2 combos. Now, I found this interesting just from my history of dance. I was like ready to audition that day.
Yeah.
You have a week. So you learn the dances and you can practice, and then you come back the following Monday and then you audition. That's the semifinals, and then they make cuts and stuff. And then the third one, now they do solos. So you do like a 30-second solo and then you perform them again for the finals.
Whoa. That's wild. I had no idea.
Mhm.
I don't know if I love that or hate that. Like as a dancer, I'd be like, shoot, I have no room to mess up because I just took this back for a week. You know what I mean? We're just like, oh, I just learned it on the spot. They're gonna be fine that I missed that 8 count, and I'm sure that they'll be fine either way.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I'm like in my head, I'm like, ooh, you had a week.
It was just very yeah, cuz from I was how I was in my mid 20s, we'll say.
Yeah,
And I was, you're just ready to go at the audition.
yeah,
Like you learn it, I'm
for sure.
here. And then, but I also appreciate that some people don't pick up choreography as well, but that doesn't make them any less of a dancer. So it is nice to give you time to kind of let it simmer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so then you got on the team and you did it for one season, so it carried you through till like February,
So November is Grey Cup.
November,
Mhm.
right?
So it would have been Toronto. So we did the
Thinking
whole
of Super Bowl, I
season,
think.
and you just perform or you cheer at
Yeah.
home games, and then we wherever Grey Cup is, you typically travel to.
And did they have you, like, apart from home game performances, did they have you also going, like, to pop-ups, like, in the city or any extra duties like that?
Yeah, at the time, we did a lot of like volunteer events, like, showing up, charity events, things like that. And then there was also fundraisers to help get us to Grey Cup as well.
Did you get, like, perks, like spray tans or hair or anything like that?
So
Yeah.
when I was on it, yes, we got, your free spray tans. We did get a gym membership. I can't remember what the gym was. I think now they do Commonwealth, which makes
Okay, yeah,
sense. But ours was
yeah,
like gym movement or something.
yeah.
And then I think those are the main kind of perks, if you will. But I love that now it's kind of taking a more of like a health and fitness approach. So they have like a chiropractor, I'm pretty sure that comes in and
No
like
kidding.
treats them weekly, and it less about the spray tan and more about like
Wait, why aren't you doing your work?
sorry?
Why should you should be there.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
shouting you
Yeah.
out. You should be there doing your Pilates and physio.
I have done the orientation where I give
Okay,
my like talks with them. So we usually
deal.
do that too. Yeah.
Okay. I'm like so passionate. Like I'm gonna be your biggest advocate right now.
Love that. So
No, it's
nice.
true. Um, okay, so then sorry to like break you up there. It's just like a
It's okay.
shiny object me all the time. You then were able to kind of find a drop-in studio. You obviously like did a season with the Elks. And then you said you came here with your boyfriend. When did you get engaged, and when did you start to like feel like you were really settling into the city that you would call home?
So so that was oh god, what year was that? That we moved here in 2015. Oh yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And
crazy.
we got engaged in 2017
Okay,
and married in 2019.
amazing.
Yeah,
Did you too?
I think after graduating physio school and getting my job, I think that's what really set our roots here. I think the people like because everyone always asks, "Oh, are you going back to Ontario? Or are you going to stay here?" Like I didn't really have a plan then, but I think
Yeah.
that's what also made us stay here because I didn't have a plan to go back. So I just, oh, I got my first job. Cool. We're going to stay here. And then I think just, once you're here longer, you set roots. My husband eventually did school when I was done. He did his MBA at the U of A. And um, then I got into the dance world and I built a life here
Yeah.
I teach at Motives. Brett Bowser owns it. She creates a great space for adult dancers because not every city has these type of drop-ins and things like that available, right? So that also was very cool to be a part of because she opened 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so you were kind of there and now you're still teaching there almost when it was like its earlier stages. You were able to see it kind of develop and the clientele come in and all of that stuff. Would you say the bulk of the dancers that are coming in are kind of they grew up competitively dancing or what have you, and now they're in a different profession but they still want to continue to dance? Or is there also a mix where there's dancers that come and they're a bit younger and they're still looking to pursue a career in dance?
Yeah, I think it's a mix. We definitely the majority of the drop-ins are I used to dance, I have a different career and I just want to keep dancing, or I haven't danced for 5 years or 10 years and I want to get back into it. But then Motives also has a pre-professional company for 18 plus and now teens. So it's kind of a great mix, which I love. And then there's also fitness classes because they know the importance of all the things we've talked about for
Cross
dancers.
training.
So yeah.
Um, I would love to now kind of transition into if you have like where you see yourself kind of heading in a direction. I love goals and I love like lofty goals where it almost makes you feel nervous. Do you feel like you set those or do you kind of take things day by day? You're liking what you're doing right now and there's no need to kind of like slough around with it.
I think right now I'm very happy with where I am because I just finished my advanced clinical Pilates certification in
Congratulations.
February. Thank you. It's a lot of work, but
Yeah.
so fun. So I've done
Yeah.
my beginner, intermediate, and advanced one. And I'm also helping teach the courses now, which is really neat. So I'm
Wow.
in that world.
Wow.
So I think that was my last goal was to do Pilates. And now I'm kind of finalizing that certification. So I'm very happy with where I am right now.
Yeah.
My goal right now, just specifically, would be to grow my Pilates caseload and spread the word.
Yeah. And so your clinic that you work at has you like they sort of allow for your Pilates style of practice?
Yeah,
Does
yeah. So
every clinician or every physiotherapist do it, or is it just kind of like unique to your services?
at my specific clinic, Movement First, I am the only one. Well, I shouldn't say that. We have two locations, and we recently had someone at our Summerside location also do their certification. So we will be offering it at each clinic. But the clinic I'm at, I'm the only one right now who's doing the
Huh.
clinical Pilates. Yeah.
That's amazing. I really, really am like congratulations. That is a great sort of achievement.
Thank you.
And I love when I hear dancers uh still do a career that has them in the world of dance in some way. It's a part of you. You start to like eat, sleep, breathe it, and if you can bring that with you along your entire life, that's beautiful.
Sorry.
Um,
I always say like always take the chance to dance, like whatever it is, because I think I've gone like 2 months in my life without dancing, like the longest time, and it
yeah,
was not fun.
not good. Not the one.
Not
And
it.
you might not even notice it,
Yeah.
like directly pinpoint the reason why you might be feeling like weird,
Mhm.
and not even weird, but when you take a dance class, you're like, that is exactly what I needed. And it's not like kick your head to your face or anything like that. Like, God forbid. It's just like bop. Just like do a fun, like you said, you just went to like a hip hop class. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we can be so, I think, especially as, dancers that grew up competitively and then maybe did something professionally. And we kind of are really easy to suck joy out of it and the bare necessities and basics as to what dance can do for you. It's like, let's gentle reminder, dance
Mhm.
can just be super freaking fun.
Yeah. Well, and I like love what you said in the very beginning with how you like appreciate that you're judging competitions and you're lucky. And I think on cruise ships, because you do the same shows every week, I there was a point where I was like, oh, I have to do the show again. And I was like, no,
Mm.
you get you get the opportunity to dance
Yes.
every week for an audience, right? Where
For an audience that is like, coming to watch live theater and it's like you get their attention in the palm of your hand and There could be somebody in the audience. This is something that I never forget. You never know the life that somebody in the audience is living and the crap that might be hitting the fans, what have you, the reason why they're maybe on a vacation or, like you never know how you've caught the audience member. And if you can just take them away for like an hour from their reality and give them sort of this like motivational, inspirational, or just this feeling that's hard to really grasp
Mhm.
is a gift. Like you have a gift as a profession. I think we can forget about the power that we have as performers, as dancers, especially in live theater, to be able to like take somebody on a story, on a journey and just shake their reality a little bit. It's so powerful.
It really
And then, of
is.
course, as you dance, you're like, whoa, this is pretty cool for me too.
Mhm.
Like it's just so hard to like conceptualize and put into words, but it is really such a beautiful gift that we are able to do. Um, Michelle, I would love to kind of transition just because of time into the last kind of portion, which is kind of just lighthearted, general chat about random things, kind of fire around, but not really because I never go fast. And have you listened to any of the other episodes?
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
I have listened
Okay.
to,
Because
like,
I was going to
probably
say
all
like,
of them.
okay, good, fantastic. Because I sometimes recently I've actually been forgetting, and it's my favorite part of the whole damn thing. And so I'm like, Briggs, be better at this. Okay, we will just start with super simple. Do you prefer books or movies?
Movies.
Movies. Okay, great. Do you like sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
So you're not an early morning riser.
Mm-mm.
No.
I
Okay,
start
great.
at noon most days
Yeah.
of my
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you have any, I guess, figures, role models, people that could be in your like circle, but also it could be like a distant figure that you've never even met? Do you have anyone that you always kind of look towards, look at when tides get a little rough?
Honestly, my husband is very motivating. He's
Yeah.
like he's an entrepreneur and he does so much and is like I just think he's amazing, obviously. He's my husband. So
Oh.
he gets me through it, which is so
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
I guess I just always from like a dance perspective, I just look back at all the people who I've like taken class from who inspired me when I was little to
Yeah.
like keep going.
Yeah.
I
Because
don't
it
yeah.
is important, I think, to have those figures in your life. Not even just when you're young, but when you get older,
Mhm.
especially when you get older too. Like, I think to lose that aha sort of like, oh my gosh, that drooling over somebody that you always wish you could be or do. Like, I think sometimes we have too often painted that in a bad way, as in you compare yourself. Don't compare yourself to compare. But it's also like, but I'm not comparing myself. I'm just using them as this motivational sort of
Mhm.
like, they've done good work. I want to do good work.
Mhm.
They lead with confidence and charisma. I want to do that. Like it's not, it can be so beneficial, I think, to have this figure in your life that you can use as this kind of North Star, as a guiding light. And it can be one or two people, what have you. But I do think that there's power in it and it's easy to forget about the power. Um, but I'm like, shout out to your husband.
Yeah.
That's done wonderful. Okay, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Oh, I've never thought about this one.
Well, now you can.
Maybe teleport or whatever that is, where you can go anywhere quickly?
Back in time, would you want to go back in time?
No. I don't
I know, I agree.
know.
Don't
No.
touch with it. Don't touch
No,
the
yeah.
past. I know it trips me up as well, just thinking about that. But some people are like, yes. I'm like, no, don't touch it.
Because then I'd wanna change everything, and I don't think it needs to be.
No, it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have any random pet peeves?
Um, mismatching socks and long-toed sorry.
Okay, my last one would be if you had a death row meal, what would that be?
I'm gonna go with my basic pepperoni pizza.
Simple. Thick crust or thin crust?
I like the Domino's Brooklyn with, like, the big pepperonis, and I think it's just, like,
Okay.
regular crust.
So, okay, so then if you could choose between, because I don't really know, obviously Brooklyn means like a New York style, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't be obviously like Neapolitan, like Italian with the char Neapolitan? Am I right?
I don't
You know
know.
what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it's like
Oh,
you could like
yes.
fold it.
No. No.
You want the like thick boy, like the
Pizza. Done. We actually had to eat with the passengers. So
Okay, but when you're like, isn't there
oh, like
below deck
under,
kind of?
yes. So
Yeah.
we had a little snack window, so you could go buy your like
Mhm.
faux noodle bowls, chips, Skittles, things
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
And then we would make late night trips to the bakery in the morning when it was fresh, and here's some money. Can I take some?
Yeah, but you have to make friends with the bakers. Some people didn't know that. And it's like, no, those are the people you meet first.
Yes,
Who is making the bread at 3 a.m.? I need to meet you first.
exactly. And you make your trek down, and you get your your fresh,
Desperate
fresh
times. You know
baked
what I
goods.
mean? Like, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yes.
Okay, Michelle, I am like so cheesing about you and your work and just the energy that you bring to your career. I think it's really important. And when I see somebody, meet somebody, talk to somebody that has the charisma that you do and like just the utter love for the work that you do, especially with dancers, it brings me so much like contentness. I'm lacking the words today and joy. So thank you for being very passionate and also staying educated. I think that's also very, very important as well.
Thank you.
You mentioned Instagram. Is that sort of the best way for people to kind of figure out what you're up to, connect with you if they need, and have a look at your work?
Yeah, I would say so. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. It was such a freaking pleasure. Do you have any last minute like things or messages or anything like that that you want to share? I guess one of my very last things that I like to leave off is if you had one characteristic that you could kind of with a magic wand spread across the world, um, like a personality trait, what would that be?
I think maybe not a trait, but like do do things without caring what other people think. Is that a good one?
Yeah.
Because I feel like for so long when I was younger, I was very shy and I cared so much. But then I don't know, in my like 20s, I was just like, why? Why care what other people think? So do what you want and do it with passion and have fun and not with the perspective of everyone's judging you while you're doing it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much, and it was an absolute pleasure. Yes, I will tag for listeners Michelle's info on the show notes. But yeah, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Thank you for spending an hour with me. That was a really, really nice chat.
Thank you. It was so nice. And I'm honored that you invited me.
Well, of course, of course. I like people doing good stuff, and I want to connect with them. So that's the whole point of this. But yeah, thank you. Take care of yourself.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Leave Average for Joe. If you found inspiration in today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe, share the show with a friend, and keep the momentum going. I have been hosting this podcast now for 1 year. It is actually quite insane to think about that because time has flown by, and as that time age old saying goes, time flies by when you're having fun. I've had a wicked first year with y'all, but I will say it has proven to be slightly challenging in terms of sustaining on your own without external support. So, regardless of the financial elements of it, if you can, take 2 seconds out of your day to share this show with a friend, share it on the socials, subscribe, leave a comment. You have no idea how far that goes because tiny, tiny little inches, centimeters of progress over time adds up. And that is the goal, is to just create this larger community, larger network so that these stories can be shared and provide more inspiration for more people. Before you go, I'm excited to announce the launch of our brand new website, briggsandco.ca. It'll be the home of a first of its kind career consulting service designed specifically for aspiring dance and entertainment professionals. Here's how it works. Just fill out the application form first. Let us know the areas you want to connect with an expert about, and we'll book you in for a personalized one-on-one call. Our mission is to give performers the tools, knowledge, and confidence they need to turn their training into an award-winning career. You can also sign up for my weekly newsletter at briggsandco.ca for exclusive insights, updates, and resources to help you keep leaving average behind. Stay connected with me on socials at Briggs _and_co__. Oh, if you're feeling old school, send a courier pigeon. Okay, just an email to admin@briggsandco.ca. Thanks again for listening. Keep pushing boundaries, keep breaking the molds, and as always, leave average for Joe, y'all. Take care.